Goodness me, listeners. Badminton Week and the drama started early because Oliver Townend was on for the Rolex Grand Slam, then he was off for the Rolex Grand Slam. Big news that Ballamore Class withdrew yesterday. Let's dive in to the first of our badminton podcast diaries, very kindly powered by our friends at Eco Voltz. The e-bike, listeners, that you need in your life. They're going to change your eventing experience. First of all, let's go and find out a little bit more about them, and then we will talk and dissect just what the Ballamore Class news means for the competition. We are delighted that this year for the Badminton Diaries, we have teamed up with Eco Voltz to take you behind the scenes on everything badminton. We have got so much coming your way over the next few days, listeners. But to get things started, let's find out a little bit more about Eco Voltz. Tracey and Alan, who are the masterminds behind the brand, who I'm sure many of you will have heard of, are with me. And Tracey, I'm going to start with you. Just for anybody who isn't familiar with Eco Voltz and what you guys do, what makes you different, just give us an insight.
Okay, so my background is equestrian, or I wanted a bike that would do the job when I was following my daughter when she was young, doing coaching and hacking out young horses, etc. And I wanted something quick and easy to get off. And we'd already done our journey into electric bikes, and I came home one particular day in a strop and asked Alan that he needed to design something and come up with something better. I gave him a list of requirements and the Eventer was born.
The Eventer was born. Alan, she's put it quite bluntly there, because you are the mastermind behind the bikes. Tracey brings so much equestrian knowledge to the table. What is it that makes your bikes different to perhaps some of the others that we see on the market?
Well, firstly, it's a hand-built bike. We build them from the bare frame upwards, and it was designed specifically for an equestrian rider. It's a rugged off-road bike, but it's not a mountain bike. It's a step-through frame, so it's easy to get on and off. And the idea was we wanted to make it as reliable as possible. We wanted to make it the Land Rover of electric bikes.
I love that. The Land Rover of electric bikes. That is very catchy. It is, honestly, they have revolutionised the sport of eventing. They make life so much easier for nipping up to the lorry park, nipping around the cross-country course. Plenty of the very, very top riders here this weekend use them. Tracey, you yourself come from an equestrian background. It's really important to you guys that actually people aren't just buying a bike and kind of waving goodbye, but they then become part of the Eco Voltz family. And you guys pop up at loads of events throughout the season and are on hand to offer help and advice whenever people need it.
Yes, we are. We're at several different events that we pop up. People are able to contact us directly. They'll either always speak to myself or Alan if they've got a query or they need to remember how something works. We also like to give back to the sport. So anybody who buys from us, it helps us to support eventing. And we do that in various ways through the best charity. We do it by sponsoring events. You know, we're a great advocate of the volunteers, because without those, eventing wouldn't run no matter what level you're looking at.
I absolutely love that. And actually, the British Eventing Support Trust, I know, is a charity very close to your hearts. You've got the Eco Voltz League with Bede Events, which is running this year. And there is the Unsung Hero Award, listeners, which is coming up at Belsay. More information on that coming your way throughout the next few days. So look, massively passionate about giving back to the sport. If people are coming to visit at Badminton this week, what can they see on your stand, apart from just having a nice chat? And I will attest to the fact that you have got a very, very, very cute puppy. So, yeah, there might be some puppy cuddles as well. Not that I will be coming back for puppy cuddles, but just saying, listeners, just saying, what can people see if they come and visit you this weekend?
Okay, so we'll have the Eventer out on display. We will also have the Dart, which is a smaller version of the Eventer, and lots of accessories and care things for your electric bike, from washers to protective covers to dog baskets to carry-ons, all sorts of things.
The accessories, listeners, are a whole different level. And actually, the trailer, my favourite thing ever, is a wheelbarrow. It literally has two jobs. So you can tow it behind your bike, but actually you can use it to muck out a stable as well. So if you're going away to a 3-day, saves space and it saves time. And it honestly, once you've had it, you won't be able to live without it. Alan, Tracey, thank you both so much. Enjoy the rest of the show. Listeners, if you're coming to Badminton, make sure you put Eco Voltz on your list, come and say hi. We're massively grateful to everybody for supporting the show over the next few days. We've got lots, as I say, coming your way from behind the scenes as well. So make sure you go and show them your support. You can find them on social media as well. So go and give them a like or a follow. Brilliant to have them on board. And if you're at Badminton, do go and pay them a visit. We will be bringing you lots of top tips throughout the week as well. Looking forward to working with them and lots of behind the scenes action. Right, Rosie, we are stood with the beautiful backdrop of Badminton House. Take me back to this kind of feeling of The Gentleman. Have you watched The Gentleman?
I've seen bits of it. My mum and dad watch it and I keep walking in on bits of it. I need to actually watch the whole thing. But, yeah, I'm more excited about finding the bits of Badminton in The Gentleman than the actual story.
I know. I was going to say, listeners, if you're listening to this thinking, what on earth are they talking about? So The Gentleman was released on Netflix recently and was this sort of massive phenomenon. And I tuned in, having absolutely no clue it was at Badminton. And along with, 50% of the equestrian community, we're like, oh my God, it's at Badminton. Anyway, by the by, right, Mars Badminton Week, massive 5-star. We obviously released the preview show on Monday. The breaking news yesterday was that Oliver Town and Ballamore class has withdrawn. Rosie, the Rolex Grand Slam is not going to be happening. This is a huge blow, not only for Oliver, but actually for the sport. It feels really sad that we're not getting a Grand Slam attempt.
It really does, and especially Ballamore class. Like, of all horses, he is the horse that you want to be going into a Grand Slam on. And I think that it just would have been the icing on the cake for this horse's career as well, because he's achieved so much, and we know how much he's achieved. But my gosh, if he'd got that Grand Slam for Oliver, that just really would have summed up what a miracle horse he is. Because I think Spike said it beautifully in the preview show. He's never ducked a punch. He's just incredible. So it is really sad that the Grand Slam's not on.
It also feels, though, Oliver felt he wasn't 100%, and he's not coming here for experience. He's not coming here to run around the cross country and pick up a few time penalties. He has nothing to prove. There is so much on the line. And actually, hopefully we'll see him out somewhere else in the not too distant future. It's the first 5-star I think he's missed as a horse at top level career, which when you think of the amount of top events he has been to, again, testament to the entire team who've looked after him throughout his career, because that's hard. To get a horse to 5-star is hard. To keep a horse at 5-star is really, really tough. So massively sad for Oliver and his team, massively sad for the event, for Rolex, for Mars. And, it's frustrating that we're not going to see it play out this week. I feel like it opens up the competition. Ros Cantor now the clear favourite on the prediction centre. I think 21%, Tim Price, 10% with Vitali. I think they could actually be ones really to watch now. I think he could capitalise on this. It just, I think, opens up a few other opportunities because Oliver was so heavily focused on in the conversation. So where are you looking now as to who our main challengers are going to be?
Well, I think, like you say, the door opens and probably we are all gutted that the Grand Slam's not on. The riders are probably sat there going, thank
God he's not here.
Exactly. So that we stand a little bit more of a chance. But it'd be really interesting to see is a lot of DHI on cross country, because I think he's definitely going to post such a low dressage score because we know he can. He excels in that first phase. I'd be intrigued to see how he copes with a very undulating Badminton. But also how he copes with the crowd, because it's electric here and he's quite a spooky boy.
He is. I feel like we're going to learn a lot about his lot DHI and his dressage, because we know he can produce a beautiful test. He's been sub 20 at the 4-star level. He's produced an 18 at Chatsworth. He's exceptional in that phase. The dressage is going to give us that indication as to just how he's coping with it all. Hopefully it'll give us a chance to talk to Ros as well, because she's very candid. She'll be open about it. Bramham last year, she knew he didn't like the ice cream cone. She'd been schooling up there every day for the week. So look, I think he will learn a lot after his dressage, and we'll be doing a show every day, listeners. I think he's got a Friday dressage off the top of my head. So we'll watch this space. Really sad news, actually, just to pick up on a withdrawal of Tom McEwen, CHF Coolizer, who was here. They were so ready for the week, and just unfortunately not Tom's chance.
They looked absolutely super. They looked absolutely super at Kronenberg as well. So it's really
for anybody who wondered why Rosie just stumbled, we were just gate crashed by the most adorable little 1-year-old who just toddled and kind of nearly took us both out. For once, it's not my child actually causing the chaos, Rosie, to be fair.
I do think, though, David Dole, Galileo Newmod, I think keep an eye on them because they can get like low 30s in that first phase. And actually on the preview show, when we looked at some of the numbers, there's quite a few horses in the low 30s. And there isn't that many horses on the 6R8 coming in with a superbly low. Oh my God.
We've just discovered the little boy's called Zach and actually just nearly took Rosie out. This is brilliant.
He's really passionate about Galileo Newmod.
Yeah, exactly. David Dole's going to win it. David Dole fan here.
But I think that they could be right up there.
He finishes on his dressage score and he has been so close. I'm just going to throw it out there. He wins here this weekend, Rosie. The Paris conversation blows up because you can't overlook a badminton winner with that kind of 5-star form. What do you make of badminton this year? The sun is shining. It has been wet underfoot at the beginning of the week, but actually it is drying up. The Grassroots competitors have been out on the cross country today, and actually it looked like it was cutting up in places, but it is so sunny now, Rosie. I wonder if it could be a little bit holding as the week progresses.
I think it could be because the grass is drying, like you say. And I spoke to Amy Dixon, who were here later in the show, about the ground. And she says actually it was quite tacky in places and holding because she said it was wet. They had a lot of rain on Monday night, but it's really, really drying now. So I think you could be quite right. But I want to just say how busy Wednesday is, which is fantastic. And it is electric. I've never seen a Wednesday this busy.
So Wednesday is the new day to come to badminton. Yes, so as the Grassroots has, developed over time, we saw it last year, I think in particular. The shops have been open. There has been such a lovely hustle and bustle. It's been a great atmosphere about the place. You can watch the Grassroots. You can do your shopping. You can come and watch the first horse inspection. I feel like this day is going to get busier and busier every year. It's kind of an extra day of badminton. Right, revised podium, Rosie. I have Ballamore class on mine. So I think everybody did pretty much. So who are you putting your money on this weekend?
I am going to say it is going to be a fairy tale for David Dole, Galileo Newmod. I really hope they can take the title. I'm going to say then Tim Price is going to be second with Vitali. Yeah. I think a show jump or two may fall, but I don't think many. So I think that will keep him in second. Third, oh gosh, I'm really... Emily King, Valmy Biatz.
Bold call. Okay, Emily King looking very chic at the first horse inspection, by the way. Right, I'm going to stick with my winner. Ros Cantor is Lot DHI. David Dole second with Galileo Newmod, and Tim Price Vitali in third. That's for me. Okay, brilliant week ahead of sport, but as always on the Badminton Diaries, we're going to be taking you behind the scenes. So to kick things off, as Rosie mentioned, she has been out catching up with Amy Dixon, one of our Grassroots riders from last year.
So I've walked across to the Grassroots area and it's absolutely buzzing here because the 100 has finished, the 90 is still going on, people are still show jumping and setting out on cross country. And I have been very lucky to come across and chat to Amy Dixon, who was here last year. Actually, she's been here, this is her 5th time at the Badminton Grassroots Championships, which is wild in itself. But if you remember, she was on the podcast last year because she was the winner of the 90 centimetres. And she's back again this year. You've just jumped another double clear, which is phenomenal. 31.9 is what you will finish on your dressage score. Amy, talk us through these last 2 days.
Oh, thanks, Rosie. It's just amazing to be here again. I actually got the qualification at Blair last year, so didn't go out to get qualified again, but it's been a long winter for all of us, a long wet winter. So I ummed and ahed, should I enter, should I not enter? And I thought, do you know what, do you want to be at home watching everyone else do it when I've got a horse that's qualified? No. So we entered and we're here. So I'm absolutely over the moon to have jumped another double clear. Really, really pleased with my dressage test yesterday. I thought he did a lovely test and then jumped mega today. The ground is a little bit testing because we had rain on Monday night, so it is quite tacky in places. I've been lucky, I suppose, to go early in the 90, and I think it will contribute to some problems maybe later on in the course where it does get a bit wet and the course gets a little bit tougher.
Well, let's just talk prep because It's obviously been an amazing day today. The prep obviously clearly went well, because last year you technically really didn't have any prep because everything got cancelled, and this was your first BE run of the season. What's the prep been like coming into this year?
Well, it hasn't been, to be honest, any better, really. Ronnie actually bruised his sole of his foot 6 weeks ago. So he's been on limited work, really, and limited hacking because of that. So it's just been keeping him in the school and keeping him sound, really. But we did manage to get one BE run at Kelsall Hill, which is quite near to us, which was good. They showed him on a surface, so it was nice to get out there. He was a little bit wild there in the dressage. That was exciting for him, but he was fab cross country, so that was nice to have a proper BE run. And then we went to Somerford Park and did a days training there 2 weeks ago, and just came here to enjoy it, really. Come here with friends and family and just wanted to have a really nice time. And the course is like no other. It's tough for 90. It's technical. They use the ground really well, and you really have to get stuck in and make it happen. And Ronnie, as I've said before, his natural ability isn't always there. He doesn't find it that easy to jump. But he's got a massive heart and he tries so hard, and really, we got stuck in and he's done it again, so couldn't be prouder.
Talking of the course there, because it is a proper championship track out there, what were some of the most testing elements of it?
Yeah, it is a championship track. It's different to last year because obviously it runs the other way round, and the first half of the course is relatively simple. I went direct at fence 6, which I know a lot of people were choosing to go long at, but I went direct last year, and I thought, I've come to challenge myself, so we went direct, and he jumped great. But it does then sort of pick up from the middle of the course on. After the broken bridge, you've got then at 14 the skinny to the arrowhead, up the steep hill, and then the ground starts to get quite tacky. There's quite a lot of fences with brush on them, in them, and the ground definitely, you look at the pictures on the cross-country app, which I know a lot of people will be able to do from home, and it certainly looks quite straightforward, a lot of the fences, but when you actually come here and ride the ground, it's the ground that becomes the challenge. And I think, what the top riders do, and it's training us to do the same, is to try and forget about the ground, and you just have to ride the fence in front of you, and the undulations you find your way over them. And I sort of, that was the challenge last year because I hadn't experienced anything like that, so this year I was a bit more prepped for that, and just got stuck in and made it happen. But I do think with the toughness of the course being in the second half, I think it will or is causing a few problems because it's as the horses get tired and the ground's a bit holding, so when they're asked a tough question, it is easy just to skip out and have a silly run out.
And that's the thing, they've been clever where they've placed these fences, used the undulations to really make you ride. And you're right, you can't often see that on pictures. So it's not until you get here that you really go, yeah, that is quite a serious question where that's been placed. And you've been here 5 times. Like we said, this is your 5th completion, which is just wild. To get here once is an achievement, but to complete 5 times as well is something else. What does it take to get a horse to Badminton Grassroots?
Yeah, it's amazing. I've jumped 5 clear rounds cross country, and it's fab. It's absolutely brilliant, but it does take dedication. I'm not gonna lie. Like I do commit to it. I train regularly, and I live in the Lake District, so we have good hacking. So I'm lucky from that point of view. We have hills, and I do a lot of hacking. Always have done since a kid. So that's not something that I have to make myself do or have to box up to go anywhere. I've got great hacking from home. I am honest, and I have never set foot on a gallops. So all these people that say that you have to gallop and you have to, you've got to be galloping for 6 minutes. My horses have never set foot on a gallops. I cross country school and they're fit, and I do quite a lot of schooling, and I enjoy the pure dressage. So I do pure dressage as well. But I think at the 90 level, as they do need to be fit. Don't get me wrong, they need to be fit, but you don't have to go crazy about it. As long as they're comfortably getting around normal 90s, you are fine to come here. You don't need to go crazy about thinking they've got to be galloping for 6 minutes. But no, to get here you've just got to be committed, and you've got to take it seriously with your training. I go to Somerford Park quite a lot. Somerford Park is a 2-hour drive from me, so it's not just round the corner, but I use their facilities a lot, and set up questions. And one thing I did last year, and I've done the same, is I have a few jumps in the field at home, and I set those up on the lines like they're here, so like the table corner combination, the arrowhead. When I see the course, I then set those lines up with a few show jumps and a few of my cross-country fences at home. And I think that definitely helps you in your own headspace know, well, I've done it at home, and you can maybe be a bit sticky at home, and the first few times you ride it, don't get it quite right, but if you get it nailed at home, it gives you the confidence when you come here to say, do you know what, I know I can do this, and I'm gonna do it.
And it's testing, like you say, that mental fitness, because that is the types of questions that are quite mentally challenging for horses, that come up fast, that you can't often replicate at other areas. So it is just trying to get that mental and physical fitness there, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, normal 90s, you go out, like I went to Kelsall, it's just a nice skip round, and most 90s are relatively easy for us now, as a combination, but you come to somewhere like this, and it's a different league, because of the questions they're asked. As you say, it's mentally, the horse has to be on side, they have to be thinking, and they have to be with you, and not thinking of a way out, because with the ground and the undulations, and they're 5.5-6 minutes in, which is more than they are at a normal B90, they've got to be on side with you. And I think if you put that prep in at home with them over similar types of questions, it doesn't have to be cross country. You can put show jumps out in your field at home, and you can mix show jumps and a few cross country fences, and you don't have to have an amazing facility, but just some fences out on grass at home, and you challenge yourself for that. You mentally then know that you're in a place to then jump it when you come to somewhere like this, and you're not asking that question for the first time of both you and your horse.
Amazing. Amy, thank you so much for coming on the pod and chatting to us, and also congratulations for another double clear at Badminton.
Thank you.
Lovely to hear from Amy, and I'm so pleased she had such a good Badminton. One of the loveliest, I think, stories from an owner's perspective of owning a horse at 5-star, if you've bred a horse that then goes on to compete at 5-star, that just feels that little bit more special. And I'm going to talk now to a lady whose family have done just that. One of 2 rides for Tom Rowland this year is Dreamliner, and his story with the Chamberlain family who own him actually goes back a little way. And Claire is with me. Claire, first of all, take us back to the start, because there's not just one brother, there's a few siblings out there as well. We've got to Badminton, so where did it all begin?
It begins with a super mare called Ben Free that Andrew Nicholson bought out of Doncaster in the days when he used to buy a lot of horses out of Doncaster, and she had incredible black type, as we call it in racing, and he bought her. She went advanced in her first season as a 6-year-old, and he went to sell her, and she had cataracts, so he then put her to a little stallion that was lesser known at the time, that he'd been riding a little bit, called Jumbo, and he bred 2 horses out of her, one of which was Avebury. He bred Avebury, and then got a little bit fed up waiting for Avebury to grow, and in the process of which my parents had a horse with him, so we actually had a homebred here 24 years ago, in 2000, that Andrew rode here, so it's quite exciting to be back here 24 years later with a homebred. No quick fixes in our family, and and Andrew gave us Avebury's mother, and then we bred 3 more foals from her, the last of which was a mare by Baryshnikov, and at the time we were intending actually on breeding a racehorse, so we bred two by Baryshnikov, one of which was a gelding which went up to advanced with Dan Jocelyn, then this mare, and by this point, this mare, by this point, Avebury had obviously been very successful, and Avebury's brother, who we bred from Benfree, who was the second foal, was TriStar, who Dad owned, and had gone very well, but wasn't as sound as Avebury, unfortunately. So never quite made it to what's now 5-star, but with them 4-star. And so we had this nondescript mare in the field by an Australian miler, who by that point wasn't really actually proving to be any much use as a stallion, was under-marketed. And we still had a nomination to Jumbo. So we sent her as a 3-year-old back to Jumbo, and that was Dreamliner. And then since then she then bred Globemaster, who's the full brother, and Starliner, who's the full sister. And then she had a break for a couple of years, and we have a 3-year-old in the field called Max Whitlock, who's by Win-Win.
Max Whitlock after the gymnast?
After the gymnast, yes. Deliberately after the gymnast, because the dam line are named after Russian ballet dancers, and politically I didn't actually think that was a very savvy move. So Baryshnikov was a Russian ballet dancer, and her grandsire, so the grandsire was Nureyev, and then Max Whitlock won another gold in Tokyo 2021, and I decided that rather than name her after a Russian ballet dancer, we'd go for an English gymnast, because the stallion was called Win-Win, Whin, so he will compete as Whitlock. So Dream was the first foal. Dream was enormous. He's 17.3 and he's nearly 7 foot long. So I've never ridden him. I rode TriStar when I backed TriStar and rode TriStar, and got decanted quite a few times. Just felt very superfluous to requirements, and actually didn't feel like I could do him justice. And so when Dream came along, and he was really tall and really long, and Tony Pellett, who backed them for all of us, and did say, I think Claire might feel like she's a bit of a dot on this one. And so he then actually went to Lucinda Fredericks, and then she had another smash, bless her, and so Em's young Jameson rode him for a bit for us. But I snaffled the other two because they're just a bit smaller. So, but they're full brother and sister, and then Max Whitlock is a half brother.
Amazing. And before we talk a bit more about Dream, actually, your two, you've had great success with as well.
Well, when I can keep them sound, yes.
Same with horses, all the horses, Claire, all the horses.
Yeah, so Globe is at 4-star and Star is at 3-star, which is pretty cool, because there aren't many. The mare never even had a bridle on. She wouldn't wear a rug in the field. But she was as tough as they come. She would live out all winter, pure thoroughbred, no rug, nothing. Didn't like particularly being in the stable. And we only put her down last winter, actually, and largely because she was just full of melanomas. But she must have been 20 by that point. So yeah.
That's amazing. So can you see similarities between them all?
Yes. There's massive similarities in their personality. The mare was tough, but the mare was kind. And there's a real stamping all the way down the line. You can see similarities, and if you look at pictures of Avebury's head, or Buddy as they used to call him, and you look, all the brothers and sisters have very similar faces, wide between the eyes, big long ears, and quite pretty eyelashes. They've all got very distinctive eyelashes. Yes, so if you look at pictures of them, and they're all generous and things. They're all, there's a lot of similarities in their faces. Dream was just longer in every essence. He's like a runner beam by comparison. The face is longer, the body's longer, the legs are longer. So, but no, personality-wise, they're all fairly similar.
Generosity in an event horse is actually a very, very useful trait, because you're going to call upon it at some point and you're going to need it at that moment. How did he make it to Tom? Because actually Oliver rode him for a little while as well and had a good bit of success. And how did that partnership come about?
Yes, and I need to say at this point that we as a family are gutted for Oliver not to be here. Oliver's a great mate. He was a great mate before, he still is now. It's all that was Oliver's decision not to carry on riding the horse, and we're very sad for him, because we would have loved to been still part of that journey. So and we're very sad for Karen and for the event and for the sport, because as a family that is sad. The Oliver. Dream was not at the easiest to keep sound, and Oliver just felt after Gatcombe, which would have been 2022, that it wasn't right that Dreamer stayed with him, and so he came home, and then there was a little bit of thought, and he needs a man. It's not just. it's not the height, it's the length. And it's not just galloping. It's actually probably the difference between Tom or Oliver riding him and my riding him on the flat, because they're by jumbo, so you do have to manufacture the trot. It's probably a marker movement in the trot work. I'll never forget the first time Oliver competed him. Oliver rode him at Poplar and came out and said, after the dressage, he said, he's very generous, but I had to work quite hard. And I said, yes, that's fine. That's good. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, if you didn't, then I'd ride it, wouldn't I? To which he said, fair comment. And that was, so that was that. I mean, they just... they're all and he's always said, Oliver always commented on how generous the horse was. Tom, actually, I had met a couple of times. He's very, very good friends with one of my very bestest friends, who's Helen Martin. Phil Martin is his farrier. And we needed somebody who had absolutely first-class stable management. Oliver's stable management is first class. And a massive factor was somebody whose stable management was going to be up really, really first class as well. And it was Phil and Helen's suggestion that he went to Tom. And it's nice because he's closer to home. There was already a connection with Pammy Hutton from when John T rode him. And so Pammy knew the horse very well, and Tom, and I know Pammy and things, so it was all quite neat and tidy in that sense. So,
and 24 years, I mean, to get one homebred to badminton is magic. 24 years later to get a second, what does it mean to the family? Because obviously you've put a lot into this sport, both as owners, riders, breeders. This is special.
Yeah, it has. It's really I'm really pleased for Mum and Dad. Breeding is their passion. They were introduced by my completely non-horsey godmother because they both had an interest in four-legged things and actually breeding four-legged things. When my parents got married, my grandfather on my father's side had a broodmare that had bred quite a lot of pointers. My father had been quite successful on it, but Dad thought it was useless. And when they got married and then they bought the farm at home, he gave it to my mother, but without telling my father, and put it in the field. And then they went on honeymoon and came back and it was there. And my mother was delighted and my father was furious. But he went on to be a foundation mare, and Dad then rode around Aintree and Cheltenham on the progeny. So, it's really fun. So, and they're very much part of the family. I mean, we have them at home in the winter. We have them home every time they're injured, which it happens quite a lot, and things, So, and we call them the four-legged family, because to have three out of one mare competing is really quite special. So, and we're just a small, discreet little setup, in our wet, muddy swamp in Berkshire, trying to do right. But we've. My grandfather was chairman of what was then the Hunters Improvement Society, so we very much tried to support sport horse breeding all the way through generations. I judge working hunters and as a ride judge for sport horse breeding for my sins, because I was told that I couldn't be in horses and not contribute. So it's not just about breeding them. It's very much British breeding, and they and very traditional. Good national hunt stallions on the dam line, very blood mares, and then Jumbo has been an amazing stallion for us as a family. I had my first ever ride round Badminton on a Jumbo, a horse called Headley Kingdom that was full brother to Headley Britannia, and he was my pony club horse. He went right the way through from pony club areas, young rider gold, and then came here in 2003, but we didn't obviously breed him. But he was pretty close, and then I rode a bit for Carolyn Bates after that, and rode some of the Jumbo Youngstock, and then Dad had a horse called Henry Tankerville that was also by Jumbo. So, but we've I mean, my childhood and especially my sort of single-digit childhood was spent studying bloodlines and researching horses and going back generations and things. So, and the dam line on Dreamer's side is actually quite smart. So, I mean, it's not just thoroughbred blood; it's really quite smart thoroughbred blood. It's Northern Dancer lines, so things. So, but Mum and Dad have pored over stallion books and things for years, and that was, that's very, very much what their interest is. You'll still find stallion books in the downstairs loo. You'll still find Mackenzie and Selby's and things. Dad still, up until very recently, would know most of the breeding behind most racehorses running in races, because Dad was a racecourse steward for years. Things. So, yeah.
So, how has the racing influenced eventing? Because obviously eventing now, it isn't the long format of the sport. Has that changed the type of horse that you breed, or are you very much still looking for the same thing?
Yes, it has changed what I'm breeding, because I'm doing much more of it now. There's been a lot of rude remarks about my stallion choices.
Family dinner table.
yes. And so Max Whitlock is a warm blood stallion, chosen in COVID. But no, I mean, our Dreamer's breeding is about as old-fashioned, traditional British eventing breeding as it can be, really, in that it was an Irish draft stallion on a blood national hunt mare. But no, certainly now I've tried to be more modern, but I've also tried to make sure that they're British stallions. So we've got a Kevin Z 4-year-old out of a jumbo mare, and then the jumbo mare has also got a Ramiro B 2-year-old in the field at home. But yes, I've had lots of suggestions of foreign French stallions, and I haven't quite moved yet. Yeah, but anyway,
the family Sunday lunch discussion is very much alive. Yes. If you can hear all manner of racket going on in the background, listeners, I think I had this last year as well, because they sort of do all sorts of hollering, I think, but I was actually going to say JCBs sort of rip apart the gravel in front of the house, so that's what's going on behind there. Claire, you've ridden here, an owner here. What is more nerve-wracking?
Oh, definitely riding.
Okay,
definitely riding. No, this will be a delight. This will be a really fun week. And Tom and Dreamer deserves to be here, and Tom deserves to be here with Dreamer. So and it's nice. It's a real honour to have Dreamer here. So I mean, we live an hour down the road. So and it's very much the one that I wanted to come to as a child. It's very much Piggy and is a dear friend, and she grew up much closer to Burley, and that was much more her event, whereas Badminton is one I wanted to come to and things. So, but yeah, really fun. If I can't be riding, it's the next best thing. Yeah, so yeah, this is it's very good. But I get to come, and I get to sort of be very close to the action, which I love, but drink the old British Prosecco, so that's also great, which I wouldn't be doing otherwise, so that's fine. So yeah.
And in terms of mindset, you are a sports psychologist. You're very passionate about the mindset side of things as well. That is something that I know Tom's worked on in the past. What's your message to him this week? How do you keep your head in the game at a 5-star?
Tom actually is really quite level-headed in the grand scheme of things. My thing for him this week as a supporter and as a friend has been to just instill confidence, keep instilling belief in the system that he already has. He has a system that works. I mean, this is by not his first ride at 5-star by a long chalk. So it's much more actually not saying things and not interrupting and just going, you've got this, and get on with it. Actually, so and just reminding him that his process works and things. So, and sometimes it's actually what you don't do and what you don't say, and actually rather than, because at this point you're not changing much anyway. So
very good point, to be fair. What are you most looking forward to about this week?
I'm watching Dreamer go cross country. Yes.
Most people would say that's their least bit they're looking forward to. Do you terrifying or not terrifying?
No. If I mean, we and certainly that would be the element for my father. That's
okay.
what he lives and breathes for. He breeds his horses to see them gallop cross country. Not that's what he if he can't ride them, that's what he wants to see them do. Things. He was pretty fast himself as a jockey. He frequently rode front runners and things that jump well. So that's what he gets out of bed for in the morning. I think he might manage to watch both of Tom's dressage tests, but that will be the sum total of it. There's only so many circles Dad can watch, but he genuinely enjoys watching cross country. So. And then that's what he's in the sport for, as an owner. Mum's been much more hands-on, but in that sense. But Dad's in it for the adrenaline and the cross-country. So.
He'll be advising of the racing lines, cross-country watch this space. Claire, thank you. Good luck. It takes a massive, massive village to get any horse to 5-star, as you guys well know. But to breed one from the beginning, for the second time to get to Badminton is very special. So best of all, enjoy this week.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, Tom, for getting him here. And thank you to the event for having us. And thank you for all the other people in the sport who also make it possible, the fence judges and all the rest of it right across the year that make such an event like this possible, make it possible to even get a horse here. So thank you very much.
Coming back to one of these events, you always think, actually, we are so lucky to be here. You look at this incredible backdrop, there's scores and scores of people, and actually today's lovely weather, and you think we are so fortunate to enjoy this sport. So if you're coming to Badminton, if you're watching Badminton on Badminton TV, do you know what, listeners? Just enjoy it, because we're really very lucky. Okay, listeners, I've just gone a little bit off-piste because Rosie had all of the links for this show, but I have just found stylist extraordinaire Lily Mead, who was responsible for Father Harry's winning male best dressed at the first horse inspection. Lily, first of all, your dad's trousers. Everybody always waits with bated breath every single year to see what colour they are going to be. Talk us through what made you go for bright pink, and was he willing? Well, he doesn't shy away from a bright trouser, does he?
Well, he's colourblind, so he doesn't exactly. he sort of leaves the clothes to us for the trot-ups. But we went for this colour because we did like a hot pink last year. We haven't really done anything like this sort of colour before. Normally it's a sort of green or blue neon. So, yeah.
And am I right in saying a blue suede shoe?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice touch.
Thank you.
Now, he has 3 horses here this weekend. Talk us through each of them. You've got Cavalier Crystal, Red Kite, and the other one is...
Away Cruising.
That's it. Sorry, Away Cruising. Of all of them, the absolute 5-star magician. Talk us through all 3 of their chances. Cavalier Crystal, 3rd at Burley last year. Yeah. She's a superstar.
Yeah, so she's an amazing show jumper. Hopefully she'll be amazing. But yeah, and then we've got Red Kite. He went to Perry last year, but he sadly pulled up because I guess it just wasn't his day last year. But hopefully he's really good. He's got a good chance. And then Away Cruising, he's been to, I don't know, 5 stars, 6. And
more. I'm going to say more. Echo Ratings will be shooting me right now because I haven't got the numbers in front of me. Lots of 5 stars, Lily. Lots.
Yeah. And so hopefully he's just got as good a chance as anyone. So yeah.
And in terms of your own budding eventing career, you are how many years old?
12.
And you are quite competitive. Do you have plans to follow in Dad's footsteps?
Well, this sounds quite, but I'm aiming to qualify for the Grassroots next year, hopefully. So yeah, but one day I definitely want to be an event rider as well.
Amazing. Well, I hope in 12 months' time, Lily, we are stood in front of this very house talking about your Grassroots experience. Best of luck this week. And I know Dad's going to be very busy, but I'm sure you will have something up your sleeve for his final horse inspection on Sunday as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love, Lily. I wish I was that cool at 12. Right, listeners. First Badminton Diary entry is done. Massive thank you, as always, to Eco Voltz. Big few days ahead of us. Rosie and I will be out bringing you all of the behind the scenes action. If there's anything in particular you would like to hear about or anyone you would like to hear from, please do slide into our DMs and let us know. As always, if you're at Badminton and see us, please come and say hello. We have got lots to look forward to, and we will be back tomorrow with the next instalment of our Badminton Diaries. But for now, listeners, go and get an early night, prepare yourselves, and strap yourselves in, because we're in for a big badminton. And actually, if you can hear all the applause, that's not for me, listeners, that's for the Grassroots prize giving, just in case you were in any doubt whatsoever. They weren't, Rosie. They weren't in any doubt, but hey-ho. Anyway, on that note, over and out. So as you know, listeners, these Badminton Diaries are brought to you by Eco Voltz. And we thought it would be quite fun to give you some top tips. If you've got an electric bike or you're thinking about getting one in the future, some top tips, some advice from Alan on how to make sure your bike is kept in the best possible conditions. We're going to have one top tip a day for you. Alan, what have you got for us today?
The first one obviously is maintenance. Have it serviced at least once a year, otherwise you're going to have problems.
And actually, if you've got an Eco Voltz bike, you can go and see Tracey and Alan at one of the shows that they will be at, and they will service your bike for you while you're there. So if you aren't sure where they're going to be, go and take a look at the calendar. We'll link them in the show notes to this episode. There you go, listeners. There is your top tip of the day on how to keep your electric bike nice and healthy and happy, and make sure it's always ready to do its job. Alan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.